everybody, welcome back to Tiny Lion's Big World. Today I'm doing Jure Sanguinis video episode 6. I'm talking about my actual appointment with the San Francisco Consulate. So it's been about 10 months since I had my actual appointment, and right after the appointment I did a big recap write-up of it and I posted it on Facebook. I'm going to actually be reading off that recap right now. I have my iPad in front of me. My memory is pretty terrible for the minutia here, so I'm going to start by reading this, and then as I remember certain things, or if I want to talk about more things, I'll add it in. So bear with me if I'm not always looking directly at you guys, but I'm right here with you. So I'm applying through my father's line. Okay, I'm going from my great-grandfather, Arturo, and he was born in Sessa Arunca, which is just north of Naples in Caserta, Italy. So he moved here in, I think, 1916 was when he arrived in New York City. So I'm going through my great-grandfather, Arturo, through my grandfather, Vincenzo, to my father, to myself. Okay, and I was also applying for my 7-year-old son and my now 4-year-old, but at the time I applied 3-year-old daughter. We live just across the bay from San Francisco. We were lucky that we didn't have to travel far. We were up pretty early as per usual with our kids. Our kids get up 7 in the morning, so we were up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So we had breakfast out with the kids to make things easy. I was a huge ball of stress and nerves, and breakfast really helped take the edge off. So we got into the city at about 10:15, and we found parking right across the street from the consulate. San Francisco is notorious for terrible parking, so please make sure to leave yourself time if you're traveling to San Francisco to look for parking. If there's any way that you can avoid driving and just take public transport there, or an Uber or something like that, that might suit you better. That way you just don't have to worry about parking at all. But no matter where you are in San Francisco, parking is notoriously terrible. I can't say that this particular neighborhood is any better or worse, so I would plan for the worst, and then, inevitably you'll make out fine. So we had found parking across the street by about 10:30 for our 11 o'clock appointment. So I had my wife with me and my kids at the same time. We followed someone inside. They buzzed themselves in and we just went in after them. We got in line. There were about 3 people in front of me in line, so I had a bit of a wait. When the clerk called me up, I greeted him with a buongiorno, and I said in English to him that I had come for a citizenship appointment. He asked for my ID and then asked if I spoke Italian. I hesitated a bit, and I said not well. I have actually been studying Italian for, now almost 2 full years, maybe a little bit more than that. But at the time, it'd been about 1.5 years or so that I'd been studying. So he started to tell me that it's not the law, but that they strongly encourage you to learn the language. And then I told him I'd been studying for about 2 years. I fibbed a little bit and stretched it because I was feeling embarrassed. But then I said it's going slowly. And he said, yes, it's a difficult language. And then I signed in, and he said they'd call up my name. So, the guy seemed a little miffed that I wasn't talking to him in Italian, but I think it was more business-like than, grumpy guy behind the counter. He wasn't necessarily rude or anything. I think they just want everybody to speak Italian. And I'm doing my best. I promise. So we got called up right at around 11 on the nose, and they took us back to the back room to meet the consular. And that was Emanuela Vidotti. Miss Vidotti was very, very nice. She introduced herself, and I was super nervous, and I was preoccupied, and she, gave her name, and at the moment I couldn't remember it. I had to look it up after the fact because I was so nervous. We had rehearsed with the kids, so they gave their rehearsed buongiornos, and she smiled, and she buongiornoed them right back. And she brought us over to her desk, and she asked if I wanted to work in English or Italian. I let her know that my Italian wasn't very good. I'd been studying for 2 years, yada, 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 and that I'd prefer to go in English. And she said, no problem. And she asked where I wanted to start. She had me present the application first, and I signed and I dated them in front of her. So I had filled out the forms ahead of time. One for myself, one for my father, one for my grandfather who passed away, and I don't think I needed one for my great-grandfather, but I read the instructions and I made sure that I filled out forms even for the deceased people in my family line, and I figured I would rather have something and have them not need it than the other way around. And I had typed them all into the PDF and printed out the typed PDF so that when I got down to the consulate, all I had to do was sign and date it, and they weren't having to read my handwriting. They were reading typed stuff from a computer. So I just do that anyway. I mean, that's just my general practice. My handwriting is illegible. So I just figure this is easier and they don't have any issues and, less things to muck up the process. So I presented the applications, I signed and dated them, and then, here we go. I had filled out Form 1 and Form 2 for myself. I had 2 copies of Form 4, one for my grandfather and one for my great-grandfather, and my father had notarized and sent me his Form 3. So she took my check, she took, I had a utility bill, and she took the photocopies of all of our passports, my kids and myself and my wife's. Everything looked in order, so she asked me where I wanted to start, and I said I defer to your preference, and she asked for my great-grandfather's info. I had gotten his birth certificate from Italy, and his U.S. marriage certificate, his naturalization petition and certificate, and his death certificate. Over the course of the 18 months by which I had acquired everything, I'd also gotten his passenger manifest from his first arrival in the United States, and his military discharge records from Italy. Now, I stumbled upon those documents in the process. They weren't required, but again, I wanted to have as much information as possible in case there was any issue. When she reviewed my great-grandfather's birth certificate, she noticed that it said that my great-grandfather had been married while in Italy prior to arriving in America and marrying my great-grandmother. This same information was reflected on the passenger manifest from the ship that he came over on, and the first wife was the family that was listed as being back in Italy, because on each of those passenger manifests, they have, all your vital information, your height, your weight, your hair color, your eye color. They also say who you were going to visit in America and who you were leaving behind in Italy. Now, a lot of this information wasn't logged in the databases when I was doing research in like Ancestry.com and stuff. I had to actually physically look at the document, either the scan on the computer or a physical copy that I was sent. But a lot of this extraneous information that wasn't logged in the database was crucial, and that piece of info, the first wife of my great-grandfather, was validated by this, information from the ship manifest. So it was nice to have both the birth certificate and the ship manifest line up with the information. Unfortunately, that particular piece of information, that he was previously married, kind of worked against me. Like I said, the marriage was reflected in the passenger manifest, where the first wife was the family listed as being back in Italy, which meant that he had come to the United States without her. Ms. Vedotti was wondering what happened to the first wife, and she noted to me that this might be a problem. So the second problem that she found was with my great-grandfather's first name. He was born Francesco, and he died as Frank Arthur. He was listed on my grandfather, his son's birth certificate, as Arturo, and he was listed on his son's death certificate as Frank Arthur. He variously went by Francesco and Arturo, or Frank and Arthur, the English versions, alternately throughout his whole life. Now, the birth certificate that I was issued, it was not a copy of an original document. It was actually like a form that they had at the Comune that they filled out all the vital information and then stamped it to say, yes, this is an official issuance of the birth certificate. Here is a copy. And so it just listed his name as Francesco Leoniello. It didn't actually say whether he had a middle name or not. The upside of all of the confusion was that on all the various documents that I had, my great-grandfather's parents' names, his place of birth, his date of birth, were all exact matches. So Miss Vedotti did say that while they could be an issue, she wasn't sure that she could accept my application because of it. She did say that it was clear to her that it was all the same person. But in Italy, Italians don't change their names. Women don't take the family name of their husband when they marry. You always have the same name. Name changes in Italy are extremely rare, which is why if you read a lot of stories of people claiming they're Jure Sanguinis, that there are a lot of name issues, because in America we change names left and right, whereas in Italy they never change their name. While she admitted, yes, this is clearly all the same person, she did let me know that she would speak to her superior and get back to me, and in the meantime, she would not deposit the check until she knew. So the rest of my documents were all accepted fine, right down to my parents' divorce decree. She did make sure to ask for the certificate of no appeal. I had a lot of trouble acquiring that document, and I talk about it in my document acquisition video a few videos back. I'll put the link down in the description below for that one. Please make sure to check the rest of the videos out as well. A lot of people on the various groups on Facebook Some people said they were asked for it. Some people said that they weren't. Some people said they had an easy time getting it. Some people said they had a hard time. I had a very difficult time getting this document. Actually, it was the very last thing I got, and I got it like a month before my appointment. She did specifically ask for that and was very glad that I had it. So I highly encourage you to go through the trouble, call different people, whatever you got to do to get the hard documents. It's really important that you show up with everything you could possibly muster. She wasn't interested in any of the non-line documents. So she didn't ask for my mother's information, my grandmother's information, my great-grandmother's information. I had it all, but she didn't ask for any of it. She only wanted the people in the direct line of ascension that I was going through. So that was interesting as well, because various communities, this is different. Some people, they ask for every single piece of paper from everybody involved. But here in San Francisco with Miss Vedotti, she didn't. Again, make sure that you ask questions on these groups on Facebook and some of these different forums and see what the experience of other people that went to the same consulate that you're applying through had, so that you make sure that you have, all of your T's dotted and your I's crossed, as it were. She let me know what to expect. Should they accept my application, wait times, the steps that are going to happen afterward. But she did make sure to say that she had to speak to her supervisor before she could fully accept the application. She said that she would contact my Comune Sessa Orunca to ask about my great-grandfather's first wife and to see if there was any more information on his name. She did agree, as I said before, that it was clearly all the same person, as all the parents' names and dates matched. I told her that this whole process was extremely important to me and the whole family, and that we were planning to move to Italy and open a business, and that we'd be willing to do whatever we needed to get this done. She thanked us. She said she'd be in touch. We said our arrivedercis, and that was it. So, at the end of the day, they weren't sure that they could accept my application. And that was a little off-putting. Like, it was just a little unsettling. I figured if I was given a hard no, that would be one thing. Or if I knew that they at least accepted it, but then just had to wait for the acceptance to go through, that would be another thing. But not fully accepting it was a little odd. It has now been 10 months since my appointment. I reached out 2 weeks after my appointment to Miss Vedotti, and I asked if she needed anything else. I asked in Italian, wrote the email in Italian, asked if she needed any other documents to support anything, and I didn't get a response. So then I waited, and at 6 months, I emailed her again, and I said, hey, I just wanted to follow up. I never got a case number. I wasn't told whether my application was accepted or not. I just want to know if I was accepted, and I still didn't hear anything. I have not spoken to anybody from the consulate since my appointment. I don't have any plans to reach out again. I don't want to bug them too much. I thought that 2 weeks and 6 months were reasonable thresholds, even by Italian standards, by which to reach out. But I've been told repeatedly by various people that have gone through the process and that are involved in doing the research that no news is actually good news. So, here I am. I'm just waiting, like most everybody else in this group. I hope you found these videos helpful. I will post more information once I have more information. At this point, I'm just waiting. No one returned my cashier's check that, to pay for the application, so I can only assume that it's being processed. I figure I would have heard by now if they would have returned the money. I'm just in a holding pattern. I'm just waiting. If you guys have any suggestions or anybody has any questions or anything, please make sure to put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The waiting is absolutely destroying me over here. I check my mailbox every single day. It is really, really hard having had 18 solid months of things to do and documents to acquire and things to send for and action items, and now I just have to sit here and do these videos and talk about it. So it's been really painful, but I really appreciate all of the Facebook groups, the Italian Dual Citizenship group on Facebook, the Italian Dual Citizenship Social Club is a great one. Chris Lorenzoni from Lorenzoni Genealogical Services, man, he was super helpful. Please go check him out. Please go check out these Facebook groups. Do some research. Go check out Rafael De Furia. He's got videos on YouTube as well. He's currently living in Italy, God bless him. And Rafi, if you're watching this, I love you and I hate you at the same time, because man, I'm so envious that you have accomplished this already and I'm still in the process. But my process didn't take 14 years, so there's that. You earned it. That's about it, guys. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please keep an eye out for my son Eli. Has even more videos coming. He reviews cheeses from all over the world, so he's got his own blog, Eli's Cheeseverse, and we just went to France and Spain and he did some Cheeseverse videos while we were there, so check them out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell all your friends that this is the greatest thing ever, and good luck with your own Jure Sanguinis process. Hang in there. You can do it. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of patience. It's not easy. It's certainly not cheap. But you can do it. You can get there. We're all in this together. And someday we're all going to have beers and coffee in Italy. I'll see you guys there. Rafi, I'm keeping that date. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.